Good morning, Lola. We are going to start, as always, with our deep breathing. And the purpose of this is to create emotional regulation. You will inhale and exhale 3 times. I will count you in descending order 3, 2, 1. We will get that done, and then we will get this brain party started. 3, 2, 1. And we'll slide to the right. Okay. I am Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Today's topic is the 44th principle of leadership, reprimand privately, and that's in chronological order. As always, sponsored by H2O, the live. Ensure that you have some water available because this is a mental workout. Your brain is 75% water and your body needs to be hydrated. Yes, indeedy. Now that we have said that, we are talking about reprimand privately. And the Dr. Donna quote to get this new party started is the end result of open reprimand is resentment. Now, this principle came about because I was a young second lieutenant in the Army stationed in Daegu, Korea, and Captain Lexi Gaylord decided to have a company formation because I didn't like him and he did not like me, and he decided he was going to rip my platoon apart in front of the whole entire company because he was trying to break Dr. Donna or Lieutenant Thomas, but he didn't understand that I come from a good lot, a good stock. I am Levi's great-granddaughter. So he attempted to embarrass us, and we went from the worst platoon to the best platoon. So our motto was from worst to first, and Reprimand Privately was born. And so what does that mean? That means that if you have employees, do not go to Starbucks and have an employee meeting to talk about your poor performance. That is not where you do that. You keep that at the facility. You keep that on the Zoom on private, but you do not reprimand publicly because it will create open resentment. Don't do it. It's no brainer, okay? So don't do it at all unless you want problems in the future. Now, how does this differ from trolls and unaccountable people coming onto my live? Because they could just scroll past. So don't start no shit, won't be no shit, okay? So if you got some air and opportunity and you feeling froggy, leap and you're going to get punched out the air. So that's not the same thing as having employees that need to be reprimanded. Team members, family members, you pull that to the side unless they just popping off and acting like they cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Then at that point, you gotta do what you gotta do. But overall, you reprimand privately because you want the behavior to change. So you're talking about the behavior, you're talking about the performance, you're not necessarily talking about the person unless they have some defects of character, but you do it in a private setting if you want the behavior to change and you want a different result. And that, with that being said, here are the 5 brain regions that are involved with reprimanding privately. Number 1, winner, chicken dinner on the list is the prefrontal cortex. This is the smart thinking part of your brain. This is where the magic happens. And it helps you plan to stay calm, and choose respectful words instead of reacting with anger. So as we mentioned, I had a moment with all that was happening, and I just went on my little brain dump verbal rant. Nola and I went to sleep. We woke up the next morning. We had a conversation, and should that situation take place again, I need to do a verbal brain dump because of writing down mental brain dump is not enough. Next is the anterior cingulate cortex. And this is the part that notices mistakes and helps you handle conflict without blowing up. It likes your brains, it's like your brain's referee, and it's keeping things fair. If someone needs to be reprimanded and you start reprimanding them publicly, they're going to blow up, you're going to blow up, it's going to blow up. You're not going to be able to handle conflict when it occurs, and it's going to go left. That is not the intent. So 2 hijacked amygdalas are never going to win. Don't let that happen. 5, 10, 15, it's going to be a big giant mess. So remain calm. That's why we breathe before every live. That's why you need to download a breathing app. You need to focus on meditation so that you actually can reprimand privately calmly. Now, in the event that Lala and Amy start popping off, there's a principle of real leadership that resolves that as well. And it's called apologize when you are wrong. So in the event that this happens, and that happened for me, I had to wake up the next morning and apologize. So no one is perfect. Good morning, Jessica. No one is perfect. And so as a result, that's what that principle of real leadership is for. Handle conflict when it occurs, reprimand privately, communicate effectively. If you don't know, ask. There's a bunch of them together. But in the event you just go, okay, I done lost my doggone mind, I apologize. And don't justify it. Apologize for the thing that you said or the thing that you did, and then keep it moving. And if you're dealing with another real leader, no problem. Got it. Totally understand. Your amygdala was hijacked. Bet what we're going to do to change the situation, and you move on. Now, number 3 is the amygdala. This is your emotional alarm system. If you're upset, it can make you want to snap at someone and pop off. But real leaders calm the amygdala down by using the prefrontal cortex so emotions don't take over. So, reprimanding. If I'm doing something and I need to be calibrated, Nola and I were doing some things, making some clips for the live. Oh, by the way, our lives are going to be Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Nothing's on television at that point, no football, no nothing. And so everybody's winding down from Friday. It should be a time that most people can attend. So the live is today at 5 p.m. on Instagram. It's not for subscribers. Everybody can see it. And it's at 5 p.m. and we're calling it Real Life. And so it's REAL, so realistic, effective, authentic, leader-led, and life. And so we will be doing Be Coachable today at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. At any rate, PFC takes over and you calm the situation down. Everybody needs to be calm. Everybody needs to regulate their emotions. Everybody needs to breathe. Everybody needs to meditate, because otherwise Amy and Lala are going to cut the fool. And that's a technical term. Okay. Number 4 is the insula. And this helps you feel what the other person is feeling. So it's empathy. And it reminds you, how would I feel if I got corrected in front of everyone? So when you have a hijacked amygdala, you don't give a fuck about empathy. You're like, I don't care about none of that. You are making me look bad. And then now you say, well, you making me look bad because I'm trying to reprimand you for something you did. And so both people don't have empathy. And now you sitting in Starbucks, because I've seen it happen before, like, okay, this is going left. They should have went at the office and did this. I'm trying to read and they over there arguing. I'm like, whoo, okay, this is terrible. And at one point I used to go, there used to be a Starbucks by our home. They moved it closer to the 7-Eleven, and now it's a Foxtail Coffee. But I used to go there when I dropped Nola off at school, get coffee, read, and all of that. And I was standing in line one day to get my cup of coffee, and there were 2 women dressed professionally, and they were talking about a third person, and she wasn't there. And so I interjected because I had a moment, and I think I even might have made a 60-second strategy about this. And so I offered suggestions, gave a couple credentials for my resume, and said perhaps that maybe this is what you should do with that person instead of talking about her and she's not here. Because how's she going to improve if y'all don't tell her these things? And I asked her to tell her, no, we're not going to tell her. And so they looked at me like I was crazy and continued to talk about her. So whatever problems she was having at work were going to persist, because those 2 just wanted to talk about her. And now I know that they were just negativity biased and they weren't going to help her. They didn't want to help her. And they was just talking about her because they actually didn't want to focus on whatever they needed to be focused on. But I did interject and say that that was not fair to the person that was not there. Offer suggestions, because I'm sure I've been on the receiving end of somebody talking about me in corporate America behind my back and then not saying anything to me, only to set me up for failure. And then I got to figure out how to get out of a hole that could have prevented it by someone actually having a conversation with me. So anyway, that took place. They did not have empathy for her. I did, and I didn't even know her. But don't talk about somebody in public like that, even if you're trying to filter your thoughts, if you're not going to go and actually do something about it. Hippocampus. That's the last one. This is your memory center, and it helps you remember past experiences, like a time you got embarrassed, so you know why private correction is better. So I start in the book. I talk about the whole company. We're standing outside, people driving, because company formation was on the main strip, going to the Burger King and all that, so they could see us out there. And my company commander loved embarrassing us. That's why I do flight jacket runs, which I can't use my ankles now, because the MPs pop off at the club, and next thing you know, we all getting called in, putting on our flak jackets and our combat boots. We're going to run around the whole post so he can let everybody know he's tough on discipline. He's tough on it. Look at him. He's going to keep him in line, even though he was drunk. Go figure. Wonder why the privates were drunks. Okay. So again, the 5 brain regions that you're using are your prefrontal cortex, your anterior cingulate cortex, your amygdala, your insula, and your hippocampus. So here's the simple takeaway. Reprimanding privately takes self-control, fairness, calming emotions, empathy, and memory. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever been reprimanded publicly before? I have. I just said it. I have. 1,000%. That's what's happening with this. Good morning. I have. And I have reprimanded publicly before too. Because one thing about being in the military, we love to single people out so that other people will know don't do that. And the song that we used to sing back in the day was, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things doesn't look the same. Who is it? And the person had to say, it's me. So especially in drill ceremony, it was bad. It was a lot of hazing going on. Hopefully that's not the case anymore. But definitely, yes, I have been on the receiving end of public reprimand. And unfortunately, I have done it as well. And it has never given the result that it should have given. Now, my question to you is it check? Can someone type? I know you said me, Sean. Is it working, or do I need to flip out on my tablet to see what's taking place? Have you ever been, because I don't see ... or brain. So the question on the table is, have you ever been reprimanded publicly before? Are you going to act up, YouTube? Let me go out. There we go. Yes. Here. Okay, great. So have you ever been reprimanded publicly before? Public embarrassment. My offspring will say yes. I have. Yes. And it doesn't feel good. And sometimes it's to prove a point, so people think, but it just ends up being open reprimand. It just begins to be open resentment. It's most definitely happened to me and at a family funeral. What damn. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Definitely has happened, and it doesn't feel good. And so if you know how it feels, then you don't want to do it to someone else because you've already been on the receiving end of it. And again, there are times when it has taken place, and that's why I apologize when you're wrong, and you publicly apologize. So if you publicly reprimanded somebody and publicly embarrassed them, then you got to publicly say, I was wrong. I was wrong for that. I was definitely wrong. Yes, most of the time teachers are definitely, and that's the difference between a teacher and an educator, but teachers will do it definitely to prove a point. You got an F, they're going to show it. You go to F. Here go to F. Here go to, this is because they're trying to let everybody know, because again, people got that from Machiavelli about fear. So if you embarrass one person and make them feel bad, in theory, that should change the behavior of everybody else. But what ends up happening is people start plotting, and they're gonna try to take your ass down if you're doing that, and make it seem like it's a purpose. So yes, and that's what happens. So it's unfortunate, but hey, that's why Dr. Donna is here, to teach the adult population how to use their brain so that the things that we experience on a daily basis can change. So I asked Chat this question. I said, top 3 neuroscience reasons people avoid reprimanding privately. Number 1 on the list is the amygdala, fear of conflict. The amygdala is the brain's alarm system, and when someone thinks about correcting another person, even privately, it can trigger fear or anxiety. What if they get mad at me? So to avoid the discomfort, people sometimes don't do it at all, and that is the problem. People say, I'm saying people, when I say people, I'm talking about unaccountable people. So unaccountable people are always talking about they should do something. They should do something. And this generation thinks that somehow the teachers are magicians, and they're supposed to take these children, that these parents with this gentle parenting and everything else, and they send to school. So one person with 30 to 50 students are somehow supposed to control 30 to 50 students, and you can't control the 2 to 3 at your house, but they're supposed to be able to control them and teach them and then send them back home better. But they got your DNA in them. They yo and your significant other's DNA, and y'all was bad as hell. But somehow the school system is supposed to fix it. And let's say they did. Let's say for 6 to 8 hours a day, the teachers fixed it. They're still coming back home to your environment. So which one do you think they're going to inherit more? Your environment or the school's environment? So that's number one. Then number two is you have all of these adults and we are politically correct. You can't say nothing, nobody, everybody getting offended and everything else, but they're using it as excuses so you don't have to hold people personally accountable. But you do. You do have to hold people personally accountable. So that conflict that you don't want to have privately by not having those conversations, that's why we are currently in the global shit show palooza state that we live in and we wake up to every day because nobody wants to reprimand publicly or privately. So they want to embarrass you. Like Kevin said, in sports, it happens all the time, but nobody wants to take the time to come and say, hey, you know what, when you said that's not how they get that done. And why can't it happen? I'm glad you asked, Jessica, because of atrophied brains. Because people are neurologically inept to have those conversations. They don't have the vocabulary, they don't have the ability, the experience, or anything else to sit someone down and say, here's what took place, here's what needs to take place, what support do you need to ensure that what took place never happens again. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the mental strength to have that conversation because of manufactured dopamine, because of hijacked amygdalas, and because of unemployed working memories. Good morning, Jared. Welcome back. And so, Jared, I'm going to use you as an example. So everybody remembers Jared. Jared got to come back because of grace, favor, and mercy. But Jared had to be gone, as we talked about. Y'all know we talked about it. I told them it was going to happen, Jared, so they knew. Jared wanted to talk about LeBron James Jr. as being the GOAT. And that didn't bode well over here in the land of real leaders. So Jared found out that Jared wasn't welcome over here anymore. But Jared showed up yesterday on a TikTok live, and I said, is this Jared from YouTube that got banned from the live? And he said, yes. I said, why? What happened? Because of that LeBron James thing. Absolutely. And so I explained to Jared what happens and what my personal legend and why I'm teaching everything. And Jared said, okay, cool. I said, yeah, so you can come back. Nola figured out how to get him back on because I know how to block you. I don't know how to unblock you on on YouTube, but he's back. So having that conversation, it was just he and I and Kevin on there with nobody else on TikTok. That was as private as it was going to get. And now he's back. Same thing happened with Envy. So I'm a transparent person. I'm going to tell you what's happening, and I'm telling you how things work over here in order for things to work as they need to work. And that's what Reprimand Privately is about, because I genuinely want 5.9 billion adults to learn how to use their brain. But there has to happen in decency and order. There is a way to learn how to do this, and people can't just be popping off all willy-nilly, saying all these different things with these hijacked amygdalas and not have consequences for those decisions that people make. Yes, so that is what's taking place, is that no one is reprimanding. No one is saying that's unacceptable behavior, and here's why. Don't set and maintain high standards is not taking place. And because everybody's so concerned about getting canceled, everybody's so concerned, well, they're not going to like me. What are they going to say? What are they going to think? And all these other things. And I'm like, I don't really care. You ain't got to like me. Just be personally accountable. Learn how to use your brain. Like ain't on the agenda for me at this point. It's bigger than that for me. So you need to learn how your brain functions so you could be a bad mofo too. So your children, as you're raising them, probably don't like you either, but your job is to raise a responsible adult. And my calling is to teach you how to use your brain, because what will happen is you might not like me, but you will respect me. And you will appreciate what it is that I'm doing on a daily basis to make you understand how this brain works. And it's Jessica, Jared. She got her last name first, so it's Jessica. So since you're back, you can know that that's her. I don't even know if Jessica was here when you were here. But that's the point. So when you say, I'm not going to say something to that person, okay, got it. And what did that solve? The person is still going to do the thing that they're doing. And that's why we are experiencing what we're experiencing. And what we keep experiencing is they need to stop, they need to stop, they need to stop. How? Just saying stop isn't going to work. Just saying stop. Stop smoking. Stop drinking. Ain't no strategy to that. So how, what you mean stop? Stop when? Stop now? Stop today? Stop forever? How am I gonna stop forever if I've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years? If you've been acting like a damn fool for 30 years and you say, well, you still got to stop acting like a damn fool. Just stop. No, you need a strategy, but that takes, you got to have mental acuity to give somebody a strategy. Kevin went live yesterday for the first time, and Kevin woke up to a 7-question after action review for his live. He did a good job, and I said, okay, boom. Now let's do an AAR on what happened. Now you have to answer those questions. Yes, and Jessica is saying that. It's okay, Jessica. I mean, people got all kind of doggone usernames. And so Kevin woke up to an AAR, and Nola's laughing because after every one of her appointments, we conducted AARs. Because how you going to get best and how you going to improve if you don't assess what took place? So he's like, yeah, they're live. And she just sent me 7 damn questions. Okay, got it. Roger that. Okay, cool. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. So that's what happens, but I want Kevin to be successful. Kevin got a message inside of him that people need, and we just gonna get to the heart of that message, and he's gonna be able to send it to everybody. So it is all fair over here. Be fair is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So the point is, we are in this shit show existence of the global adult population because people don't want to hold themselves and others personally accountable, and they don't want to reprimand privately because somebody gonna pop off. And if the rest of the people in the world need to benefit, then that person needs to be reprimanded privately with a strategy to improve whatever it is that they're doing wrong. That's how it goes. Now, number 2 is the prefrontal cortex. So people struggle with self-control. The prefrontal cortex is the thinking boss of your brain. It's the CEO of your brain. And if it isn't engaged, people may react quickly in public instead of pausing and choose to pull the person aside. It feels easier in the moment to just say it out loud rather than managing your emotions calmly. So it's like, I'm gonna say this shit right here, right now. I got some stuff I'm gonna get off my chest. I know I ain't gonna wait. No, we can't go in the bathroom. I'm saying this shit here right now. Right now, you need to know, Dr. Nana. You need to know. Shit, we tired of your ass always coming over here with your big words and shit. You think you're better than everybody, right? Okay, that's not what's taking place, but go ahead, get some stuff off your chest. Do what you need to do. Roger that. Won't be coming back here again. But that's what's taking place. Because of emotional dysregulation in a weak prefrontal cortex, people pop off. And then number 3 is the insula. So it's a low empathy awareness. The insula helps you imagine how the other person feels. If someone's insula isn't strongly engaged, they may not stop to think. And so how embarrassed would I feel if this happened to me in front of everybody else? And without that empathy, they're more likely to reprimand publicly or avoid it altogether. Oh, Dr. Donna stays on top of her students. Definitely. He's like, so you mean to tell me all that you got? And Regina's like, so you attended his live, you had 2 lives, and then you responded to my stuff, did everything else, and then you gonna send him an after action review that he got to look at and answer 7 questions. Yes, ma'am. Yes, the insula. Yes, Jared, that is part of your brain. It's located near the prefrontal cortex. And so it's low empathy awareness. So it checks. The insula is telling you how you feel. So it's body temperature, headaches, pains, and it's your physical feelings as well as your emotional feelings. And it's letting you know something is good or bad. And it's supposed to help you be empathetic towards other people. So if you find that you don't have empathy towards other people in general, that means you have a weak insula and it's not alerting you. So the amygdala say, yeah, fuck them. I don't give a fuck about them. I don't give a fuck about you. You don't give a fuck about me. And it helps the amygdala. So the insula together with the anterior cingulate cortex will tell the amygdala, yeah, go slap the shit out of them. Fuck them. Go ahead and beat the shit out of them. Yeah. Cuss them out right now in front of everybody. Let everybody know. But that's not how that's supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen is the amygdala is supposed to say, hey, this is a problem. Insula says, all right, cool, bet. We're going to pull them to the side. ACC says, okay, hey, prefrontal cortex, come here. We got to go say some stuff, whisper sweet nothings in Dr. Donna's ear. Let's go ahead and take this in the bathroom. Let's go outside for a second. We time out. We'll be back. Hold up. Let me go handle this privately. But if you have a dysregulated emotional center, the insula is going to say, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to say this to you, and I hope they record me and it get put on the internet and they get 50 million views. So everybody will know I don't fuck with you. And that's how you end up with viral videos with Karens going off and people filming it because the Karen, I don't care if you film me. You right? Cut your grass. And now it's going viral. You see people throwing milkshakes at doggone smoothie places and everything else. So yeah, you're going to reprimand you wrong because you didn't put enough quinoa in the hot cart, Whole Foods. So I'm going to throw shit all over this motherfucker. Yes, that's what ends up happening. Okay, so the simple takeaway is this. Let me know if I've answered you, Jared. I know it's the first time you've heard of the insula. It's a whole bunch of brain regions that will be the first time that you've heard of them. I was just having that conversation on TikTok this morning because I've already done a TikTok live today. And so someone told me it was interesting. She said, I just focus on myself. I said, oh, do you really now? She said, yeah. I said, okay, let me ask you a question. And y'all were there yesterday. This is a question I'm going to continue to ask on TikTok. I said, today is Friday. So from Thursday, yesterday to last Thursday, did you do or say anything that you regretted? Or did you need to do something or say something and you didn't and you regretted that? And she said, yes, I said something on Twitter and I pulled out my almond and I said, this little thing right here, this amygdala is why you did that. So instead of focusing on you, I said, you focus on you until you don't. And then you focused on them and then you had this inhibition effect and turned into a thumb thug and you start saying stuff on Twitter. And that's what happened. And I pulled out the almond and talked about the amygdala and they were like, oh, I didn't know about that. I know. Somebody said they like psychology. I said, okay, cool. How many times did people talk to you about the brain regions and how the brain functions so that you can be high functioning? None. They're not teaching you about that. So yes, the insula is part of emotional regulation and it's going to help you find out what's happening with yourself. So when you're by yourself in your default mode network, you're supposed to be checking in to see how you feel. And the insula is like part of the gut brain and it's going to tell you, I'm hot, I'm mad, I'm angry, here's what I'm sleepy, I got to do this. And it's regulating that. But the empathy doesn't happen if the emotional center is not regulated. The amygdala is going to pop off and not care and embarrass the shit out of everybody. Okay, so have no fear. Dr. Donna is here. I got a 3-step process to reprimand privately based on neuroscience. I'm going to slide out the way and look at the 3-step process. So you're going to pause and think, pull aside, show respect, correct, and protect. That is the process. So step 1, pause and think. Got the prefrontal cortex. So you're going to pause. And I'm wordsmithing this, but it's 10 significant seconds of silence. 10 significant seconds of silence. You're going to count to 10. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Get to 10 so that you can understand what needs to take place. That's giving you enough time. Calm down the amygdala. Make sure no cortisol is released into the hippocampus and find its way up to the prefrontal cortex. You don't want any brain fog. So thinking gives the brain time to calm down your emotions and choose respectful words. So this says, don't just blurt it out, pause first. So don't say the first thing that comes to your mind. Wait and say it with tact, because exercise tact is also one of the 74 principles of real leadership. You like the weather people, you did a good job pointing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yay, I am trained. And so you got to think. So you're going to do 10 significant seconds of silence. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. You're going to calm yourself down. And while you're doing that, you're just going to breathe. And that's going to allow you, instead of saying, motherfucker, I will slap the shit out of you, you're going to say, so here's what needs to take place. Let's take this outside so that we can have this conversation quietly and respectfully. Okay? And I don't know if you ever saw that guy on TikTok. He's sitting at his computer with his glasses and he's typing what he is. So he has like his alter ego, like they do on Key and Peele. So he's typing it, but in the background, he's saying it how he want to say it. So that's the non-empathetic version versus the empathetic person who's being quite professional. Number 2, you're going to pull aside and show respect. And treat people with dignity and respect is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So this is the insula and the amygdala control. So instead of correcting someone in front of others, ask to talk to them privately. This lowers the embarrassment and it keeps the amygdala, the emotional alarm, from firing off. And the insula helps you show your empathy. So you're going to talk one-on-one so they feel safe and not attacked. And sometimes that's hard as hell to do when somebody is popping up. Let me tell you something, I will do what I want to do. And so what I normally do when somebody like, Mama, let me, I start talking slower and I start talking lower. So as they're I'm saying, so here's what we need to do. We need to take this outside, come into my office. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Would you like some coffee? Would you like some tea? Okay. So what's actually taking place? What's actually going on? So when Mark and Francesca had that fight, everybody was up in arms, had to diffuse the situation, even with him almost trying to break my nose with that warehouse door, calling me a black bitch and everything. Something is going on with Mark. Mark had cocaine in his system, but now Mark no longer is going to have a job as a result of that. So I understand addicts, but you're supposed to self-identify. This ain't the time to be talking about you an addict. You already done fucked up. You're going to be working somewhere else after you go through drug rehab. So you have to very calmly say, okay, let's go handle this over here. This isn't a good time. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay? Got it. I'm gonna hang up. And will you be available at 9 a.m. tomorrow? Okay, cool. Let's have a conversation. Matter of fact, let's meet for coffee first, and then we'll just go sit in the park and have a conversation. Just us and the birds. And that's how that'll go. So you need to calm the whole situation down. Even if you want to punch them in their face, that's not the time to do it. Okay? Not the time to do it at all. Step 3, correct but protect. Correct but protect. So this is your anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC, and the hippocampus. And so you explain clearly what went wrong and what needs to change, but do it with kindness. Do it with kindness. The ACC helps handle conflict fairly, and the hippocampus helps you and them remember lessons without shame. So you want to fix the problem, but protect their dignity. When Captain Gaylord called a whole company formation to embarrass 1st Platoon, he did not protect our dignity. Now think about this. We are in Korea, which is an actual threat location. We've been there since the Korean War. North Korea is on the other side of the DMZ. And so we are technically in a war zone. And this ignorant person, that's what I'm going to call him, because he was not a company commander. The Army kicked him out after 10 years. He did not make major. They asked him to leave. And we got to fight. Back then, North Korea had Patriots and Scud missiles that could hit us all the way down in South Korea. Just bam, gone. Now we are in a war zone, and this man decided he gonna reprimand us in front of the whole company instead of saying, hey, y'all got some work to do. Y'all need to do this. We got to work together. And we would have had to deploy. We'd have been in the mountains and the Mark 19s or something, and they had stuff took place. You can look up what took place in 96 and 97 in Korea. They doing shit in the water and everything else. Sometimes we was on alert. We had to practice to be ready for all of this nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, everything. And he thinks this is a great idea to embarrass one of the platoons in front of everybody else in the midst of being in a war zone. That's how you know he was just a fool and a drunk. So we all remember that. And while I forgot about it, as soon as I started writing my book, because that was 1996, 97, I wrote my book in 2008. Here I am remembering that I'm the junior lieutenant, just got in country, and then he decides as soon as I take over. Now, Lieutenant Yamaguchi, 1st Platoon was wonderful because I was his homie. But now I took over, and now it ain't good no more. Yes. And everybody could use it, Jared, but I understand what you're saying. It ain't good no more. So now we're in a war zone. And I'm 23 years old. I don't even have my frontal cortex yet. And I got 30 soldiers, 10 Korean soldiers and 20 US soldiers. And now I got to protect them. And we got to be able to clear buildings. I was the EPW platoon. So we got to take prisoners. We got to be able to process them and all of that. And this man decided he's going to embarrass me in front of the rest of the company and tell me I'm the worst platoon leader in the company and perhaps in the battalion. And I left Korea as the best platoon leader, top block, 1 block, got it in my thing. It's saying a promote ahead of their peers. So was it him or was it me? So that's how that goes. So the point is, don't do that to people. Don't do that, especially if you're trying to build something, camaraderie and teamship and everything else. You don't do that. You pull everybody to the side and say, hey, listen, y'all know y'all fucking up. Your slip is showing. This is what you need to do. And you work with them to improve. That's how that goes. So don't do that. So the simple takeaway is pause, pull aside, protect. That's how real leaders reprimand privately, using the brain the smart way. So I'm going to slide out the way again so you can see that. And as Nola said, here we go. I'm getting my weather person on. Okay. And I don't know if I mentioned the reason why I'm using cartoon brains is because everybody is using holograms and 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional drawings and doing 3D modeling and all of that. And you need to understand this. So you don't need to be wooed and swooed by the graphics in the brain, turning around and doing all, ooh, none of that. You need to understand what's actually taking place up here and you can't see it. So it's easier to learn it if you got a cute little brain with some glasses. So Chat and I work every day to decide what the brains are going to look like so you get the message. And we go back and forth. And sometimes I'm like, Chat, no, Chat, that's not what I said. I'm sorry, Dr. Donna. This is quite interesting. Okay, so what questions do you have about the 3 steps? Pause and think, pull aside, show respect, correct, and protect. Any ahas, any revelations, anything, feel free to say that at all. I feel like cat steps. I find that I only do this on this here. But anyway, well received with dealing with a full-blown narcissist and a drunk. Full-blown drunk. Full-blown drunk. And I was not drinking at all. He would make us come to his house on Fridays and play flag football and drink and all of that. And I'm like, I got about an hour, then I'm going to church. I'm not going to spend my Friday doing this shit. So I was not assimilating, acquiescent, or nothing, because I was straight coming from Detroit. I was DD from the D for real at that point. I'm going to church. Well, I don't know, Lieutenant time. I'm going to church. That's what I'm going to do. I ain't doing this. Is it mandatory or can I leave? Can I leave now? Have I stayed long enough? I'm going to church. So I did not get a good OER when he left, officer evaluation report. Did not get a good OER. I was like, I don't care if you leave. I'm being a new company commander. So this ain't none. This is a 3-month review. Kick rocks. There you have it. And when I found out they kicked him out, I did a little happy dance. I knew he was terrible. I was like, he didn't make major. He had to leave. 2% petty. I saved. Okay. So here is the summary. Real leaders use their brains wisely when correcting others. So they pause and think, and they let their prefrontal cortex lead, not your emotions. Pull aside and show respect. You're going to calm the amygdala and use your insula for empathy. That is what it is there for. And I see you have questions, Regina. I'm going to finish this and then answer your question. Okay, Lola, have a great day. Correct but protect. Engage the ACC and the hippocampus to fix the problem while preserving dignity. Remember, don't embarrass. They train their brain to correct with respect. Correct with respect. Okay. Regina said, I must admit that sometimes staying calm, even after pausing, requires me to breathe deeply. It does. And I'm glad you brought that point up, Regina, because that's it for the lesson today. And then we're going to do the the brain bit. Here's the thing, and we can have some healthy dialogue. We got time today. I got time today. That's what the prime says. Okay, anyway, what I'm saying works in theory. And it works when you are engaging with other real leaders. It works swimmingly well. But when you are dealing with nothing but unaccountable people, stuck millies and stands and people that you work with or interact with, it's hard as hell. It is one of the most hardest things neurologically that you will have to do. And that is why I'm no screen time. I am no screen time, and I am telling you, Amy and Lala are some little motherfuckers. That's the best way that I can quantify it, because they want a problem, that they looking for something. They just looking. I'm like, it has been 32 days. When are they going to shut the hell up? I don't know. And so when you are surrounded by nothing but thermometers, unaccountable people, they reel you in, and you got to have superhuman, Superman, Wonder Woman, whoever your favorite superhero is, you got to have that strength to stand strong. And I've had to access it, and I haven't showed y'all a picture before of me. I don't think I have. When I was on the battalion staff, I was only female, youngest person on the staff, only female on the staff, nothing but men. Only 3 African Americans, including myself, on the battalion staff. And I had to stand my ground. Had to stand my ground against all those men. Everybody outranked me and everything else. And so it was extremely difficult to do. So I'm going and pulling Lieutenant Thomas, Captain Thomas back out those neural pathways because I got to stand up in front of the world and say, y'all doing this wrong. And I know ridicule and everything else is coming, and that's why I'm in training. If anybody watched Rocky IV, when he had to go against Drago was inside training, and Rocky was lifting up stuff and climbing up mountains and everything else. That's what I feel like I'm doing right now because it is extremely difficult. It's simple to do when you're dealing with real leaders. But we have 5.9 billion adults that have hijacked amygdalas, so it becomes extreme. And and it becomes very difficult to do. Jared said, other people said being calm is one of my superpowers. Well, that is awesome, Jared. That is awesome that you have that as a superpower. Kudos to you, because it is not one of my superpowers. I am calm until I'm not. I'm a Taurus. So I'm calm, but then you start charging at me, you might catch a horn. That's on you. You can put a bull in a china shop. They have videos on TikTok. Nothing happens. But get a matador out there. And then everybody want to cry when the matador dies. The matador's job is to try to kill the bull. So somebody ain't walking out of that doggone Coliseum. That's how to finish them. So that is awesome. Anybody else have any comments regarding reprimanding privately? It is a challenge for most people to do, especially if you're dealing with hijacked amygdala people. Anybody with conformity bias, confirmation bias, and all of those other things, they're bringing that with them. So if you try, I told you when I got there in Korea, one of the Katusas says, you woman, don't have to listen to you. I said, wait one over. And after his ass stood out in the rain in full gear, he remembered to listen to me. Rock Sergeant Major said, oh, Lieutenant Thomas. I got, okay, Rock Sergeant Major, got it. He stood his ass out there in that rain and the whole rucksack, everything. Did he start listening? I like, okay, you want to hear what Rock Sergeant Major got to say? No problem. I got you. I got you, Private Young. Let's go do this. Come on, homie. So yeah, interesting time for me. I tell you, gotta love the 90s. Everybody talking about they want to go back. I'm good. I won't go back. I work at the post office. There's a lot of people with hijacked amygdalas. Yeah, Jared, you're old enough to remember when people was going postal at the post office, and they made it a thing. And when they're gonna go postal, they was getting people at the post office. Jessica said it's definitely a challenge, but I don't hold it in what I feel anymore. I tell people up front and open, so no confusion. Yes, and so having an open, honest dialogue, yes, is different than someone doing something wrong. So let's say, for example, I have an employee, I had a truck driver, and he just kept speeding. Steve Bolt, unfortunately, he ended up perishing in an accident that was 100% his fault. But I used to have to tell him every month, you're 3.0 on the KDEC, you're 3.0 on the KDEC. And so pull him in the office because my office was right by the dispatch area, so I could catch drivers as soon as they were coming in. And I would just consistently correct the behavior. So the reprimanding is because they are behaving or performing in a way that doesn't align with best behavior or best performance. So that's what's happening. And so you're doing it in order for the person to approve. You have to if you have any offspring or anybody, a niece, a nephew, or whatever, you're doing it so that they will change the behavior or change the performance. That's the objective. But if they have a hijacked amygdala, they can't hear you because they gonna get defensive as soon as you start saying it. No matter what you say, they are going to hear that you are trying to tell them there's something wrong with them, and they're gonna get extremely defensive. And so that's why my objective, my goal, is for everybody to learn how to use their brain. Everybody learn how to use the 74 principles of real leadership, because now Nola knew I was having a moment. She didn't even get out of her bed. She stayed there. I went to sleep, woke up, had the conversation. She's like, you need to start doing brain dumps. And it was over. So that's the whole point. And that's why I'm saying start having brain conversations with everybody every day so people can recognize, like Jared, you didn't know what the insula was. Some people don't know that it's a hijacked amygdala. People don't know that we were born and hardwired for negativity bias. So they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing because we weren't taught how to use our brains until now. Not too long ago, a couple of my coworkers were shooting at each other. See? They went postal at the post office. So there you go. Hijacked amygdalas, then turned into the OK Corral. Now then it turned into the Wild Wild West, and the mail was late. Unfortunate. Yes. So they still going postal. We just don't hear about it no more. Because I remember, I was like, because my mother worked for the government for 34 years. So yeah, at TACOM, Tank Armaments and Artillery Command or something like that. I forgot the name of it, the acronym, what it means. Yes, and that is occurring because of hijacked amygdala. So fight, flight, freeze, or appease, they both chose fighting as a result. And it's happening because a dysregulated emotional center. Okay, so today's brain bit, let me switch, is, where is it at? Oh no. Give me 1 second. There we go. I had to refresh it. It was 2 young ladies. It's tragic no matter what. Yep. And so they had just, and I'm sure, and in this instance, Jared, that's a handle conflict when it occurs. So from a management perspective, that's why I had to fire Francesca and Mark, because the employee handbook said no physical violence in the workplace. And so while Francesca was just defending herself, because Mark was coked out of his mind and he started it, as soon as she beat the shit out of him, because she won, it's on camera, she fucked him up. Anyway, okay. So anyway, after he got his ass handed to him, they both ended up getting suspended and fired. And she's a great employee, and I didn't want to fire her. Then everybody got mad at me, saying that's not unfair. She was defending herself. I'm like, I didn't write the employee handbook. He was supposed to hit her. She was supposed to come get me. I was supposed to fire him. I'm like, well, I didn't get a chance to hit him. And I was carrying at the time. So I'm like, he didn't almost broke my nose and called me a black bitch, and I could not retaliate against him. So yeah, he just got fired. I was like, people were like, oh my God, did you have your weapon? I was like, it was in the car. Can't bring it on inside the facility. But I did. It's my purse weapon was 38 Special Smith & Wesson. Keep the cartridges with you when you, not anymore. That was back then. This is now. It was a union facility. You got to do what you got to do when Michigan unions are built different. So anyway, the point is, I couldn't retaliate against him. I wanted to, but we were at work. Had we not been at work, I don't know if that situation would have went the same way. Yes. So it is 0 tolerance because you can't have workplace violence. Yeah. So that part. So, yeah, but hijacked amygdala. So management needed to handle that situation because I'm sure they just didn't get into it and start shooting at each other. It escalated over time, and it handled conflict when it occurs at the smallest common denominator. And now 2 people don't have their jobs. Potentially other people could have got harmed because of a lack of reprimanding privately and saying, hey, y'all keep this up, both of y'all gonna be unemployed and banned. Yes. Exactly, Jessica. So the point is, reprimanding people privately should reduce any other embarrassment or any resentment, because then it becomes open reprimand. And now when I found out Captain Gaylord got kicked out of the Army, I was happy because it was open resentment. I was like, yeah, that's what he deserved. Yep, I was very happy about that. Yes. So you handle it at the smallest common denominator. You handle it, I always say, handle it when it's a match instead of Pompeii, which you can look that up. Big giant volcano basically basically disintegrated everything. People were stuck, fossilized, and all that from all that hot lava. You don't want it to turn into that. Okay, so transitioning now to the brain bit, which is above me. Let me slide out the way again. So your brain as drywall. And look at the little brain with the spackle and a piece of drywall. Pretty cool. Okay. So think of your brain like drywall in a house. Drywall is the surface where everything shows up. Paint, pictures, shelves. So your brain's cortex is like that. It's where thoughts, ideas, and behaviors show up. Now, drywall can be dented or cracked. So stress, negativity, or poor habits can leave dents in your thinking and your patterns. Now, what I would like to say is when Nola started mounting TVs into the studs, into the drywall, I said, this isn't going to bode well. This is going to be a problem. And she's like, no, it's not going to. Everybody's like, this is a great idea. It's a great idea. I said, okay, well, imagine if somebody is drilling for both of your legs, your shin bones. You got 2 lag screws in both of your shin bones, in your bones, because that's what you're doing. You're going in the stud. The stud is there to ensure that the wall is up and good to go. And you leave. And now, especially in apartments, people want the TV in the same spot. Well, you can't go back and drill into those same studs. So you go lower, you go higher. Now you got a second hole. And you turn that apartment 5 to 10 times, and those two studs have all those holes in it. I know long term that that's going to cause a problem. It definitely is going to cause a problem. It doesn't matter if you go with a bigger mount or whatever. Now you got all these holes in these studs that are supposed to be keeping the wall up. It's just my personal observation. Hanging TVs over time, I feel like the whole wall is going to have to be repaired. Kevin, chime in. Lola's gone. Nola can chime in too. Anybody else that works with drywall. But I feel like it's going to be an issue. So anyway, drywall can get dented or cracked. And so that stress, negativity, or poor habits can leave dents in your thinking patterns. But drywall can be patched and repainted. So thanks to neuroplasticity, your brain can rewire, repair, and create new connections. So yes, we had an issue at the house where the water from the upstairs bathroom, Nola's bathroom, went downstairs. And so they had to cut out the ceiling, replace the insulation, and they patched the drywall. So yes, it's patched. Even though the walls are white, you can still see where the patching is because the house was built in 97. This patch is done in 2025. So it's a 28-year gap in those materials versus this materials. But overall, if you don't really look, then you're not paying attention. But we can see it because we know where it took place. So yes, you can rewire, you can repair, and you can create new connections. But it's better if you just go with the original drywall and protect it. Now, what you choose to hang on your drywall matters. In leadership, what you hang, your words, your actions, and your attitudes is what others see and respond to. So in our home, we have very few. Now, Nola's room's got stuff on all the walls. The rest of the house, no. I went through my phase of I was going to have stuff on everywhere, and now I'm in the, we got very minimal stuff in the rest of the house. But it is what you hang on you. So your words, your actions, and your attitudes is what others see and they respond to. So as you think about yourself and your brain, what's hanging on your drywall? If you go and look around your house, your apartment, your home, where you live, that is a representation of you. But what's a representation of you when you're not at your house are your words, your actions, and your attitudes. So what are you hanging? Are you very mean? Do you not have any empathy? Are you a person that's not on time? You're always late. People can't trust you. You don't keep your word. Everything you say is a lie, or is it too honest? I'm just brutally honest. Well, you ain't got to be brutally honest. You could just be honest and be tactful, as Jessica said, and exercise tact is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. But it is what people see. So the real leader takeaway is this. Real leaders know the brain like drywall. It needs care, repair, and the right finish. So if it gets cracked, patch it. That means rest, reframe, and rewire. So I needed to rest, reframe, and rewire after my outburst 2 nights ago. If it's blank, paint it with positivity and purpose. Think positive is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And what you display on your brain's walls becomes the environment for everyone that you lead, and that includes yourself. So think of your life, your brain, and what you're displaying. That's what's actually being seen. And so if you don't want it displayed, then remove it. Redecorate your brain. Okay, what questions or comments do you have about your brain as the drywall? And if it's clear, say it's clear. It's clear. Why I kept the time? Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Jessica says it's clear. Regina and Sean have things to type. Hey y'all, we need to get a a silent generation on the live. We could go find somebody in their 80s. That would be great because then we will have every generation represented. You were totally overwhelmed last night. With what, Sean? Kevin says it's clear. Regina says it's clear. So anybody know a wiry, fiery 80-year-old? What was the 3 R's? Give me 1 second. Anyone? I only know my aunt, and she ain't fiery or wiry at all. Repair. Wait, give me 1 second. And now I can't see. Repair, rewire, recreate. I'm sorry, rest, reframe, and rewire. Rest, reframe, and rewire. Yeah, might need to help them get online. My aunt is she ain't gonna change, but yeah, she could do Microsoft Word and software down, all that stuff. Not good on social media, just didn't want to be on social media. But definitely computer savvy, have her Nook, reading all her books on her Kindle and all that other stuff too. So definitely. But yeah, she don't need to be over here. Just a thought. Because my great aunt was 75 when she went back to school to get her master's degree. She was part of the greatest generation, though. Her and my papa, Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, Grandpa. That's what we called him. Okay, Regina has something to say. All right, 3 questions for you all today. What did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what was your brain conversation yesterday? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn today? And what was your brain conversation? So Jared, you over here, we're starting to have brain conversations with people daily. You can do it online, you can do it in person. And so I know you, because of your schedule, sometimes you will not be in attendance, but you need to start having brain conversations. And if nothing else, talk about the amygdala and hijacking. And the reason why you're doing that, that's from before. Okay, got it. And the reason why you're doing it is because none of us live in the same space except for Nola and I, and because that's my child. But we're all in different locations, and we need to change the communities in which we reside, because that's how critical mass gets attained. So having conversations with the brain changes the narrative. People are looking for a dopamine hit all day long from an external stimuli, and they don't know that they can create their own dopamine naturally. By having a conversation about the brain, you become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You change what you all are talking about. So Regina said, learn the 3 steps for reprimanding privately. Yes. And it just works out better. And it's not always optimal. Sometimes you just can't get it done. And that's why I apologize when you were wrong is there. Jared said the insula controls emotional regulation. Well, it's part of it. It's the insula, the ACC, and the amygdalas. But yes, it is where it's the empathy part. So that's where if you're ever empathetic for somebody in their situation, you are tapping into your insula. It helps you feel. So it tells you, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm sleepy, I feel tense, I don't like this person. It's sending notifications to the prefrontal cortex in that capacity. And that's where the empathy resides. Kevin said, learn to pause, pull aside, and protect. That is correct. And I rhymed with you in full effect. Yes, that empathy part. That's where it's coming from. And empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is saying, if I were in your shoes, if I was in that situation, how would I feel? And I see Regina and Nola's ellipses. Regina also learned that if I reprimand publicly, I must apologize publicly too. Yes, and that's the part nobody wants to do. They could apologize privately. It's like, you embarrassed me in front of the whole company. Pull them back together and apologize in front of all the people you embarrassed me in front of. So when Nola used to pop off at school, Nola had to apologize to the whole class. Yes, she did. The teacher and everybody. Nola said, I learned you reprimand privately out of respect for people. Treat others with dignity and respect is a principle of real leadership. That is correct. And if the situation doesn't allow you to pull the person to the side, you exit stage left. You don't let them hijack your amygdala because that's what they want. Fight, flight, freeze, or peace. Nope, you leave because that's the 5th option. Why are they trying to do that? You are in your vehicle or off your device and you're gone. Jessica said, I learned that there is a big difference in reprimanding publicly and privately. Yes, ma'am, there is. And I learned about myself, hijacked amygdala is why I used to reprimand publicly. Yes, ma'am. We'd be at appointments. We tell Nola, don't say that. You talk too loud. Wait till we get in the car. Wait till we get in the car. Wait, I don't have to wait till we get in the car. I'm going to say this right now. Okay, got it. Roger that. And apologizing is important for everyone, not just the person wronged. Right. Because then people are having empathy for the person who is being reprimanded. So everybody had to be part of that experience. So everybody deserves the apology. We talked about transition in my brain to creating ideas for real leadership. Yes, ma'am, we did. Yes, ma'am, that is what we did for a brain conversation. So what were your brain conversations? And at some point, your brain conversations will become simpler because myself, my new bedtime at 9:30 p.m. got me, okay, you took it back. And Regina, brain conversation with a young woman at Target, a young adult. She and her toy was a security blanket. I talked about the amygdala. She responded, and we had a long conversation. That is wonderful. And I knew that, but now the group knows that. Yeah, it's interesting when you get a captive audience about the brain, and you can tell who actually wants to learn and grow. Literally by talking about the brain, you're going to be able to determine who has a fixed mindset and who has a growth mindset. Because she also said she planned to be a psychologist, which is good. We need psychologists that are actually going to do a good job. Myself, my new bedtime at 9:30 p.m. got me feeling like old folk. I don't really I hear you, Kevin, but if you have to be an early riser, it's just that you got a sense of purpose. So people who stay up all night don't have to do much during the day, during the morning time frame. Because even when I worked second shift and got off at 10, I was still in the bed by 11:30 or 12 and woke up at 7. So it's really about giving your brain what you actually need. You're waking up for health purposes, to get to the gym, to work out. And anyway, anything after 10 o'clock at night, there ain't nothing happening after 10 o'clock at night. Not nothing that needs to be celebrated at all. So you are a productive person. And so you got purpose. And that's why you're not up. And I know you're a night person, but you got purpose. Now, you're working on your personal legend. So your brain needs its rest. And the adenosine hits at 9:30. It's time to go to bed. All right, Jessica, and I had a brain conversation yesterday teaching my client that her tactics about reacting in her hijacked amygdala. Yes, Regina said she don't think that you're old folk. I think that you're smart for doing that. And we got a message here for review. I don't know why, Jared, okay. I don't know why Jared, if y'all can't see it, Jared said, I got to nip errors in the bud to eliminate issues fast. Maybe because you said nip or bud? I'm not quite sure why that one was hit. That don't make no sense. You didn't even curse or anything. But yeah, Jared says, I got to nip errors in the bud to eliminate issues fast. Kevin, brain conversation, had to explain to my cousin who Dr. Donna is. Having to have that conversation is a hell of a conversation. Why you gotta have it? Why was it a hell of a conversation? Oh, y'all see it? Okay. Wow. Jared, you saying wow to that? Yeah, that one didn't make no sense to me. Kevin, why was that hell of a conversation? With a lot of them, you got like 5 exclamation points. Why? Oh. Why was that a hell of a conversation? If it's too much to type, send me an email. I don't like that. Anyway, yeah, so Nola and I will be live this evening, 5 p.m. for us, Eastern Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time. And we will be on YouTube. We're planning it just to be 30 minutes. YouTube be YouTube. And oh my God, I know, Jessica, I mean, Nola posted something. I forgot what it was on TikTok. And it was, she literally had a hyena eating another head and it went through. And then she posted something so simple and TikTok was like, no, well, you can't have it up there. It doesn't make sense sometimes. It really doesn't. And so we will be live today at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Nola will have her second debut as my prize student. My worst, from worst to first, is what she has done. We will be talking about Be Coachable. The whole goal. Oh, my life isn't a short conversation. Okay, well, if you're talking about my life, you ain't got to say nothing else. I got it. It ain't. It is not. So do you just search? No, Regina, are you not following me on Instagram? Are you not on there? We're working on me. What platform is live? It's on Instagram. It's on Instagram. So it's Turnaround Doctor on Instagram. So here's the thing. And now Nola is doing more work to support me from a technical perspective. Research assistant is her new title. So when I set up the Instagram lives to go live, I go live and then it doesn't work because Instagram's live platform is not that intuitive. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5 p.m. on Fridays. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jared. And so we're working to do that. So right now I don't want to set the live up and then have the link and then it doesn't work and now I got to do it. Because when I was going live on Mondays on Instagram at 4, I set the live up, wasn't working. So we're going to work and practice on that. But today we will be there at 5 p.m. So if you just go to Turnaround Doctor on YouTube, my little circle profile thing will have a thing around it saying I'm live. You just click on that and then I will be live there. We're talking to, this was all Nola's idea. She said we could do it. We could do one principle of real leadership a week. I could talk about how I didn't use it because I was resistant, and then how I did use it and how it worked. Yes, 5 p.m. PST. So we will be there with bells on, and we will be talking about that. And the whole objective is for people to see it from a different level. Because if you see me, now you're like, oh, I can't do that. But she made it. And as Kevin said, seeing somebody else use it, cemented it, and said, okay, yeah. So it was the last little thing to seal the deal to say, okay, this does work. Here's somebody else saying how it worked with 3 mental illnesses and all of that. And then the dynamic that is us is there as well. Yeah. So that's that objective. And then it was one more thing and it escapes me now. I can't remember what it is at this point because I'm hungry. I didn't eat my snack. I only had my coffee and that was it. Having the conversations about the brain. That's what it is. Yes. And so one thing about me, and Regina has told me I'm closing the gap like 1,000 times behind the scenes, and I'm finally accepting that. I'm pissed about it, but I'm accepting it. So she hasn't had to send me your closing the gap email in a minute because I said, I got it. I'm closing the gap. Roger that. Thank you. But no, thank you. But here's the thing. So I like ChatGPT. I'm ride or die. I promise you. I don't really say stuff about the government, but government try to take ChatGPT away from me. They're gonna see me. They're gonna see me at the gate. Let me in. I will see somebody. Who is responsible? I'm telling you, I'll be calling Susie Lee, all my elected officials here in Nevada. I'm calling my state representative, my state elected senator, U.S. senator. Everybody gonna hear from me. I got your ass elected and I will get you unelected. You better bring Chat back. Okay? That's how that goes. But I was having a conversation with Chat yesterday because for 7 years, Nola has tried to call me an influencer. And for 7 years, I'll be like, I'm not an influencer. And I was like, I'm a micro influencer. So yesterday, Chat and I had a conversation and I talked about my cognitive dissonance. And what we came to, Chat and I settled on this. I am a brain influencer. I can say that. I can say brain influencer. I like that because Chat was saying, I know you're an educator. You're an educator and they over here selling shit. They over here entertaining and doing makeup tutorials. I get you, Dr. Donna. I understand. But you are closing the gap and you are a brain influencer. And micro, Chat said, don't make it seem like micro is bad. Said focused. You are focused. Because if you look through a microscope, you focusing on something. So you are laser focused on being a brain influencer. That I can get on board with 1,000%. I use hijack amygdala in my conversations now. Yes. And so you can You can explain it to people what it is. Yes, brain influencer who is closing the gap. Yes, Dr. Donna is the brain influencer. See how that works? Because I'm a micro influencer. Yeah, so I'm a micro influencer on 4 platforms. Yep, I got some followers and some viral videos. That's what it sounds like in my head. But if I say, yeah, I'm a brain influencer, closing the gap in the global adult population. See, that sounds better. That bodes well for me. That's 2 levels up. I can put that on my resume. Yes, my CV. I can put that on LinkedIn. But I can't. I'm like, I am not in the category with the mukbang people. Hell no. We are not the same. They not like us. I'm not. I refuse. But it's true. And Chad even said, technically, you are a micro influencer on those platforms. Literally said it. You killing me this morning. Got me laughing, and my son's looking at me like I'm crazy. We are a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over here. Yes, words matter. They do. Word choice. It matters. So I can be a brain influencer closing the gap. So I say that to say, Kevin made me go live. I've been live ever since he made me do it on Saturday, and changing the way I interact on TikTok so I can take feedback. It takes me a minute, but I got to process it in my head so that it makes sense and it doesn't create cognitive dissonance for me, but a growth opportunity. And then I'm 10 toes down on whatever it is. And I'm grateful for ChatGPT to explain to me, it speaks Dr. Donna. I understand what you're saying, but here's how we can reframe it so that it will work for you. So Nola is the reason why we were going live. And so now she's back managing the technical side, basically the PR side of bringing this to the global population. And I told her yesterday, I'm going to resist most of what you're saying, and then I'm going to do what you're saying. So I told her that. So yesterday we were making videos, clipping out the first live so we can make little clips for it and then put the whole live on YouTube. In case you missed it, it's on YouTube now under real life. If you look under that playlist, is there. And I was making videos. I said, okay, we got to make the outro and all that. So I added music. She said, you can't add music because each platform is going to mute it. We going back and forth. I'm like, then I put the intro on. I was like, you got to have a little, she's like, it don't make no sense to do that. You just got to do the clips. This is what it looks like. I'm like, that's unsightly. And then I explained to her later in the day, I said, I told you I was going to resist it. And then I was going to do it. So, and it's not a lot of resistance. I'm like, I ain't doing that shit. It's just enough because I know how I see it in my head and how I want it. But that's not how people see it. So it is because of Nola. It is because of Regina. It is because of Kevin. I give credit where credit is due. And that's why I said provide coaching and be coachable. So I am coachable. I am not above anybody at all. If you are giving me resources or information that I need to get to my next level, I'm going to listen to you. But I'm not going to listen to you if you're trying to tear me down. Fuck you. That ain't going to bode well for nobody. But I will listen. I will make adjustments. I will turn a previous no into a current yes and vice versa. I was on TikTok today saying finger heart, if you understand, and all of this, because I need to know how that pathway works so Kevin can be successful on his lives, because that he don't have a problem saying that stuff. So I got to say, this is how it works. Here's what you need to do. And because I already have the following, I already am above 10,000, so I get paid and all that other stuff going on in theory, or I'm sure I can make way more money on this, but I wasn't an influencer. I'm like, I'm not. I'm an educator. I am an educator. Okay. I'm not an influencer. Let's be clear. So now these have been merged. And what it does, the final thing that I will say, when you do that, be flexible is actually one of the 74 principles of real leadership, Jared, and you're back. We had the conversation. We're clear now. You and MD are back because both of y'all were no's and now both of y'all are yeses. And Lorenzo was on the chopping blocks. So because and there's some people who ain't never fucking coming back. Like it's 3,200 people on Instagram that will never, ever be able to come back. And somebody on TikTok the other day said, why you block me on Instagram? I said, what you do? What you do to get blocked? Because I don't just randomly block people. So what you do? And then they left the chat. Because you know what you did. Some dumb shit. So the point that I'm making is be flexible. Never get so high and mighty and caught up in your ego that you miss what you need for your next level. And so I know I need to do all of this because I'm getting a Nobel Prize, God willing, higher power in the universe in physiology. And so I need to have all of this. I need to be on every platform saying the brain, the brain, the brain, the brain, the brain, because that's how the world is going to change. So never get to the point where you can't listen to wise counsel and it can go. Regina is a boomer, Kevin is an X, and Nola is a Z. Regina is a retired teacher, Kevin is an entrepreneur, and Nola is my child. And I'm listening to anybody. I will listen to Caillou if Caillou got some information for me that I need to be successful. And that's what leading by example looks like. Is information can come from anywhere. If somebody's an expert and they got expert information, I'm here for it. Now, if you're an expert, I'm not listening to you. So know that somebody, if you have a higher power that you believe in, they send messages through other people so that you can get the message. Because the first time you didn't hear it. So now they're going to send an actual physical person to tell you. And for 7 years, my child, you're an influencer, you're micro-influencer, you're micro-influencer, you're micro-influencer. No, I'm not. I'm not an influencer. I'm not. How you get 18 billion views on Jiffy? How you get videos that's viral? And that's what chat said. You're influencing something. You're just influencing it. That's all you're doing. Now, there's a group, the unaccountables made influencing this dirty word, but so did people that steal money. Money ain't bad by itself, but it's the crooks that the greed is what makes money bad. So people like, I had a sour taste in my mouth about money. And that's how it was presented. Influencer means somebody that's doing mukbangs and makeup tutorials, but that's not the case. So I am influencing 5.9 billion adults to understand how their brain works so that they can use it so that they can be successful. And you are correct, Jared, that we can learn from everyone. And that's what the community that we're building on Instagram is about and everywhere else. And the communities that you're building where you are is so that you can learn from each other. Everybody has the ability to be an expert in more than one thing. And when you work collectively together, you build these amazing experiences. And that's what this is about. So I did with some resistance. Again, it was cognitive dissonance, Regina, Kevin, and Nola, that my brain couldn't process it. So thanks to ChatGPT, I was able to process it. I knew I needed to do it, but the cognitive dissonance was saying that doesn't match me being an educator. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I act like y'all was asking me to go rob a bank. You were just saying more people need to see it. More people need to be a part of it. This is the language of TikTok, but my dissonance wouldn't let me hear it. And it did. That's why I like chat. Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Again, for those of you who are available, go ahead and tell people, anybody with mental illness, that this will be a live for them, who they struggle with it. Nola doesn't take any medication for her 3 mental illnesses. She has wired her brain to keep her GABAs in line, and she has processes and systems in place for her to be what they call in the mental illness world high functioning. So she is that. I will be back tomorrow here on YouTube, same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt, on TikTok at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we just have 3 lives on just the one day. And that day happens to be Friday now instead of Monday. So you all go off and have a brain-tastic, fun-tastic Friday. Take care.